Thanks for coming. Just a couple comments about our class. I think you're going to see more and more uneventful signing dates, especially the conversations we've had as a coaching association and the new rules by the NCAA about an early signing date. This early entry by players, the mid-semester enrollees, has kind of changed the landscape also of signing date, the so-called, 11th hour and signing date decision. So our class has been in place for quite a while. Even Munford, they're signed today, but he's been committed for a few days, and so a very good class, a class that someone's asking me, what do you look for? That changes every year. It's a slotted. It'd be kind of intriguing someday to show you what the war room looks like. I guess the so-called war room we call it. But a whole side of the wall is devoted to recruiting. Malik Hooker walks out, you better put someone back in, and you don't have to be overly intelligent to figure out if the guy that you slide in that slot's not good enough, your team's not quite good enough. And so that's what we did, and very pleased. 2 years in a row we've lost 60% of our, or 6 out of 8 secondary players early entry into the NFL draft. And that's unusual. That's a matter of fact, I don't recall ever hearing that before. With Tyvis, Von Bell, and Eli leaving the year before, and then this year Malik, Marshawn, and Garyon stepping away from one of the best pass defenses in the country. And then you replaced them with guys that we're really excited about, and they're here. And that's Jeffrey Okudah, Sean Wade, and Marcus Williamson, and they're already here training and working out. So very good young players. You also have Isaiah Pryor that's going to compete at that safety spot as well. So I'm not going to go through each guy. I'll let you ask the questions. But very pleased. One guy I do want to point out is a guy named Sean Wade that committed to us, I believe, on the national championship day. I didn't know him. I know his school very well. And traditionally, players in that area will change schools about 7 times to their commitments, etc. And Randy and Gwen, his mom and dad, we've become extremely close throughout the process. And I can't be more proud that he stuck with his commitment with, a lot of pressure in that part of the country, and to hang in there. The other guy is Wyatt Davis, that I didn't realize until recently that USC's head coach lives in the same neighborhood. I was like, oh my gosh, and I already used up my visit out there, so I made Stud to go out there on Friday and sit from sun up till sundown and make sure no one goes by that house. But it's just some unique stories out there, and Wyatt was, even after some media badgering and some other stuff, was able to hang in there, and that's a credit to our coaching staff relationships, but it's also a credit to this incredible university, and even more importantly, the program within this university. And that's what I love to hear. When why did Baron Brownie told me he picked Ohio State University, it's because of what this university can do for him when he's done playing football. And at the end of the day, that's obviously very, very important, something that we take very personal around here. So with that said, I'll answer any questions.
Ari's waited 365 days to ask a recruiting question, so we'll open up with Ari. Recruiting.
Who did?
Ari.
No.
Urban, you guys have recruited at a high level since you've been here, so this isn't new, but this class, I think, generally across the board is viewed as the best class you put together, maybe one of the best in program history. Why now? Why were you guys able to put together your best class?
Oh, I think that'd be something to ask our players. The guys that signed, but I'd say, just because I'm an old hat at this now, I'm not the new guy, are your best salesmen, to see Zeke Elliott's father and family, and to see, Josh Perry's mom and dad are, they're around. They speak to players when they're allowed to, and on official visits. And the greatest sales people we have are the people in that locker room and our parents, because everybody's going to have nice facilities, everybody's going to have a big stadium. What makes it, especially, I don't know if it's just a generational thing that's going on right now, but I am so impressed by the young people coming out of high school in these last 2 years. And I hope that's nationally in other sports as well. But we're getting very good students, very good people, and people that are so interested in life after football. And that wasn't the case. You know, a lot of times it's, well, yeah, I'm going to the league. I'm going, great, go to the league. But you know what? Someday the league's going to be gone. And that's what, so I think those kind of people are naturally attracted to Ohio State, and those kind of people are very much attracted to our program.
As a follow-up, you guys have 7 Ohio kids in this class out of 21, maybe 22.
21.
It's the lowest number you guys have had. Is that enough Ohio, do you think?
No, it's not. It's it happens enough this year, but no, you want to. 50% is kind of the mark that I've been trying to, and I keep it right in front of me and I stare at it and make sure that we're doing right. The thing that happens in Ohio that we have to in this early sign-in really bothers you, because Ohio is traditionally a late developing state. You know, when you start talking about the other states, you take away 4 years of, you know, for example, in high school in Texas, you go at noon. There's a football class, and it's shoulder pads, it's a football class. And then you go have lunch, you come back as a coach to evaluate 2 hours later, and they have football practice. And that's in March or May, whenever spring football is. You know, my son plays high school football here, and he's not doing anything football related until summertime when the teams get ready to go. So as a result, 4 years of that, you get a little bit more of an advanced player at times, and then other times you get the Darren Lee, you get the, you know, the Josh Perry, you get these phenomenal football players that take maybe a little more time to develop. Does that make sense? So what bothers me, and I'm so glad it didn't happen, is an early signing in June would not be good, because we have to see some of these guys play and perform their senior year.
As you get more national, you're taking players that are, you know, 5-star, no doubter type of kids, and you have less room, obviously, for.
That's right, and I'm not. Do we like that? No, we don't like that. You know, I wish I could save, and I'm glad it worked out with Thayer. You know, and we had another spot saved if we wanted to go after an Ohio guy, and it just didn't materialize. But I'm on purpose keeping those spots, because there's going to be someone show up, and happens. Darren Lee's the easy one to recognize. The Tyvis Powell, the Darren Lee. Who did we sign this year? You know, Jalen Harris. You know, he was a guy that we just kept watching and watching and watching, and he kept developing, So it's an interesting dilemma that we deal with every year.
Front row, Dave.
Looking at wide receiver recruiting, you guys have signed a lot of big, tall wide receivers the last 2 years. We've been Victor and Austin Mack and the 3 guys this year. Has there been a change in philosophy with wide receiver recruiting, or is it just?
I think everybody, that's never changed. It's just, can you get them? Are they out there? Are they good enough? No, everybody wants the Julio Jones. They don't come around very often. Ben Victor is going to be a dynamite player here. You know, we saw Clemson's guys presented matchup issues, but everybody wants big and fast. So I don't think that's any school in the country say, I'm looking for small. You know, it's the best quality player that's available.
I want to ask you about the Kevin Wilson hiring. As soon as he resigned from Indiana, did kind of an antenna go up like this could be a good fit here at Ohio State with Kevin Wilson?
Yeah. I've thought about that before, you know, and you know, I didn't know what Indiana, because I thought they'd done a phenomenal job there. We didn't want to play them every year, I know that. And so I've known Coach Wilson since, you know, Northwestern days. And just got great respect. I know our staff with it. Really, the United States of America does as far as a football coach. So.
Second row middle, Ryan.
You spoke about this a little in your opening statement, talking about Sean, but you had a bunch of guys actually that committed in 2015. That were, you know, anywhere from like a year to 18 months before this signing day. What was the challenge with keeping some of those guys committed for that long? And if you ever had a class where so many of the guys were people who've been committed for at least a year?
I didn't really research that. I will. That's unusual to hang on to him that long. Not so much if it's a Josh Myers, because you know, he's got Ohio ties. What's that?
A lot of them were out-of-state guys too.
Yeah, the in-state guys, it's not uncommon to be able to hang on to them. But a kid from Florida, that's especially where he's from. I mean, that's tough. So it's almost like when they commit to me, I put a 30% on. Is that actually going to happen? So it is. I don't have that in front of me exactly how many, but that is unusual to be able to hang on to an out-of-state guy for over a year, because people just wear him out.
Second row left, Jeremy.
The Texas, let me just say this too, the Texas kids are hung in there, because there were some new hires in that part of the country, and they went after him now. And to be able to hang in there and get him here, I'm glad we got him here in January.
Speaking of Texas kids, Elijah Gardner is a new name that kind of popped up in the last few weeks. How do you guys go about finding players like that, very kind of under the radar?
Well, That's another late developer, you know, and that's a guy that after I really studied him and our staff really studied him and got to meet him, spend time with him, look what he's going to be like. That's a, you know, project type body, but big and fast. Is kind of, if you miss on a player, makes you miss fast and miss big, and they usually turn into something. But once you get to know him and his family and find out he's a tough guy, very impressive. So what happens is you lose a couple guys to the NFL draft. Maybe have a decommitment, maybe have a guy that's going to transfer, you maybe have some stuff going on, and you put the APB out. And it's just, we have a recruiting staff that keeps a file of players available for us, because you can't watch 60 receivers until all of a sudden something, because we're getting ready to play bowl games and all this, boom, we start hearing there's transition, maybe the NFL, and we have a staff put together, and they said, okay, here's the top 10 guys. We go evaluate them, I get on a plane, we go see them, and that's what happens, and it's fast.
How long is that for the average person? They hear the name the first time 3 weeks ago, but how long have you guys been seeing a kid like Elijah?
We have not him. You know, he came out of the, you know, he came out of our staff finding him. There's other ones that we were in touch with pretty much throughout the whole year, but we felt he was better after you got to know him.
Front row, Bill?
About Thayer Munford, what was it that you needed to see before you were willing to offer him?
There's an interesting story. I think you guys will really enjoy it. I had Gene Smith meet with him as well. He was at Princeton, and then he went to LaSalle, became very close with Nate, his wife Rebecca, and then they won state championship LaSalle sophomore year. He leaves and goes to Massillon, and he grew very close with the family. He went through some just personal issues, and then they moved him to, they took custodialship of there in Massillon. They deemed him ineligible for a good portion of the season. Greg Studrawa had him 3 or 4 times at camp. Was knee deep. The line coach in Massillon actually was my center at Bowling Green, and played for Stud. So there was deep ties there, and Stud was the one. You know, he would not let that die. He would not. He kept going. I want this guy. I want this guy. We're not going to have room. We got room. And then I went down watching him play basketball. We had him come up here twice. I think twice. I think might have 3 times, and he checked off all the boxes, and we went after him.
One question more about Kevin Wilson. When Tom Herman was here, you said this is not going to be Tom Herman's offense, it's going to be our offense with incorporating things that he does. What do you expect Kevin Wilson to do to enhance this offense? And also, what did you do in terms of vetting him after what happened at Indiana?
Well, the first part, that was immediate. I went to Gene Smith, and Gene Smith talked to Dr. Drake, because there's, you know, like anything, there's stories that get thrown out there. I talked to Kevin myself at great length. I talked to others who knew him that were there. Gene Smith did as well. I already knew, just because I knew the guy, but I wanted to hear what goes on, and whether it's a disgruntled player, whether it's an issue with a trainer, whether it's an issue with some, and I just needed to find out, and so did my bosses. And so it was rather quick, and it came back, everything was good. There were some misunderstandings, philosophical differences, which I understand that. I wanted to know what they were, and we proceeded. Second part of that question was what?
What will he do to enhance the offense? What are you looking for him to control?
Throw the ball better. You know, I was going through all our stats. You know, we led the Big Ten in offense this year. I think that's 3 or 4 out of 5 years. You know, we scoring offenses. We were, I think, 0.7 points away from leading the Big Ten in scoring offense. Number 1 in third down conversions. Where we were poor, we want to be 250, 250. I believe we were 250 rushing or 247 or something like that. We were only 213 passing, and we want to be 250, 250. It is going to be, I'm going to be perfectly clear though, this is the Ohio State offense, and we're going to enhance it and make it better. 214 is the perfect. That's what we want to be. And that's great balance, 1,500-yard rusher, receivers that are making, you know, have ability to stretch the field. We have to get back to that. And we have to play with better tempo. You know, that's where Tom Herman really enhanced our offense. He brought a tempo to us, and I know Coach Wilson and Ryan Day are very much used to that.
Way back in the back, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, along the same lines about the offense, just we haven't had a chance really to talk to you since the bowl game. Just what has the past 4 weeks been like within this facility? Probably some uneasy discussion about how that playoff game unfolded, and just direction going forward? Sounds like the guys are back working at it, and is that giving everybody a clear vision of what's right and what's wrong?
Yeah, I'd put the season was unfortunately in like that, because that's not. I believe we were a year ahead of schedule. I believe I did not envision that at the beginning of the season. I thought it was going to be a knockdown, drag out, and then we started off really hot going to Norman, Oklahoma, and guys are starting to grow up. But we did not play well, obviously. That's an understatement in the final game. Believe it or not, and that's for me, that left this facility rather quickly. We went out, dove into recruiting, finished off one of the best classes in history, and the team's at it and going at it, and with the intent that will never happen again. We also understand it's college football, and you're dealing with young people, and so there's going to be some changes that are made throughout, including just minor changes where I think it's time to refresh a little bit the program, and from minor things about where we do stretch, where we practice, switch the fields, switch lockers, doing all kinds, just changing up some things. I'm going to change the coaches' offices all around. It just kind of, I can't remember the law. There's a business where you change equates to 15% increase in production. And so that's the whole thing we're going to do this year, just kind of change things up a little bit.
Tony, third row.
Baron Browning told us about his prank that he pulled on you when he committed.
Prank.
About committing to.
Oh.
That's wondering about your version of the events when you also then turned the tables on him.
I threw my phone against the damn wall. Is what I did. Yeah, I remember sitting down and I looked down. I knew he was going to commit. I was over at our friends. They had some kind of, I can't remember what time of year it was. And I remember looking. I leaned over. I said, "Here it comes." Boom. I looked down and it's. I can't remember if he called or sent me a text and said, "I'm going to roll with Bama" or something. I took my phone and threw it against the wall. And I sit down, and all of a sudden I hear it buzzing again over there. I look, and it's his father. And his father says, "Hey, we got him, Coach. We got him. Congrats." I go, "What the hell are you talking about? He's going to Alabama." I said, "No, he's just playing around." So he got me good.
But then you got him back. When you said you got him back when you called him, told him you had taken the job.
With the LA Rams, he said that you took the Rams job.
He cried. Did he tell you that?
Yeah.
Did he tell you he teared up?
No.
He teared up.
He said he was mad.
So he told you this. You guys are gonna like covering him the next few years. So there's all those rumor about the Los Angeles Rams, and so I called his mom, and because she's great, and I said, "Keisha, let's go get him." She said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" I said, "Okay, I'm gonna call." Because she teaches at the school, call him down there, and let's put him on speakerphone. I want to see his reaction, so we did it. And I said, "Baron, I got some tough news for you, but I've taken this job," and he's going to hear quiet. And I go, "Hey, man, you all right?" And he's just quiet. And I said, "Hey, I'm just kidding, man, all right?" And his mom said, "Man, he was crying. He was crying." Great stories.
Austin?
Urban, do you look at JT as in addition to this class? I mean, there was some possibility that he might not return and go to the NFL or be a graduate, that he might not be your quarterback again next year. Is he a bonus for this group?
He's our quarterback, or I mean, I think what happens is microphones get stuck in front of players' faces in tough situations. You lose a game, you're embarrassed on national TV, and things happen. And I talked to him the other day. I saw some comments he made about I wouldn't have came back with change. I don't know if that's all. I'm sure if he would like to re-say what he said. So, I never thought he would leave. I don't know how close that was. Only JT knows. I'm very close with him, but I think he's an Ohio State Buckeye, and will always be an Ohio State Buckeye. So it's what happens here is just like, boy, the offense is terrible, and we only led the Big Ten for 4 out of 5 years. You create these monsters, and you have to feed the monsters. And I'm familiar with it. I'm at that age now where I've been a part of that for many, many years, and I just want to make sure our players continue. Just keep going. Just keep the boat pointed straight ahead and go as hard as you can, and steady in the boat. And I think when you see a guy like JT who wants this so bad, wanted it so bad, we were there at the doorstep again, and that's a challenge for him. He's not done that yet. He got us to the doorstep again in 14 and gave way to Cardell, and so I'd never thought it was that close, but once again, that's his
what does it mean now for the future of your quarterback room to bring in Tate? It looks like you guys have a line of successors going down for the next few years. How comfortable do you feel? Where does Tate fit into this picture?
Tate's we are a very evaluation-friendly business as a coach and as a quarterback. You know, some people measure it by throwing yards, or same thing with a coach. Some people measure their success. However, we measure it very simply. How do you win? And Tate's a winner. JT Barrett's a winner. Braxton Miller was a winner. Obviously, Cardell Jones was a winner. So those guys have, you know, I can hear about the shortcomings. Tim Tebow was a phenomenal winner. So those guys, the way we evaluate quarterbacks, I understand a lot different than others. He's a winner. So obviously that's where he fits. He's a winner. He brings a winning from a winning program, a winning sense of the way he is, you know, personality. You see him the way he walks around here. So that's what he brings to us.
Far left, Bill Landis.
Ruben, you said that, you know, everyone wants that big body Julio Jones type of receiver, but for a couple classes it seemed like you guys didn't really bring in anybody like that, or it was rare. It was mostly smaller, still fast guys, but not that big body type.
Not by purpose.
Okay, I guess that's what I wanted to ask. So is this a shift now to not only that body type, but maybe also guys who are more quote-unquote ready-made receivers who have been playing that position for a while, aren't necessarily guys who are making position switches from something else to receivers?
I don't know that. I know we go out and try to use the top 15 receivers in America, and you don't say, but they have to be 6'3", because that also limits your pool. And also, of the top tall receivers in the country, 6 are from California, 1 from Arizona, and 2 from Texas. That's not in our backyard. It happens to Jalen Harris. We had one in Cleveland, Ohio. Trayvon Grimes, and that's kind of our school now, or one of our schools that we have a very close relationship with, and it just worked out very well. The young man in Texas was just simply, our staff found him. We loved him when we met him. We watched him. So it wasn't, it's not a philosophical shift. I think that's what people are asking. Not at all. Next year we're going to go try to find the biggest, fastest receiver we can and hope we can get involved with them. Unfortunately, even next year, they're not real close to here.
And there have been a few guys who have announced they're transferring from the program. Are there any other players who...
Who's announced? I'm not even aware.
Kyle Trout and Evan Lyle. And
Evan Lyle's a graduate transfer. I believe he's going to Duke. Who was the other one?
Kyle Trout's going to Cincinnati.
Kyle Trout, yep. And then...
Torrance was the other one,
yeah,
but
Torrance.
I didn't know if there was anyone else who has either made that decision or possibly might be a medical situation. You guys can announce that.
let me get through today. I just don't want to misspeak. I haven't been traveling and everything.
From the right, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, as you look at this group of guys you just signed, a guy that jumps out at me, and you mentioned a while ago, is Wyatt Davis. Do you see, much like Michael Jordan, do you see he or Josh Myers, do you see them competing
Yes.
for a spot immediately?
Yeah, Josh Myers competing already.
Yeah, and why? What stands out about those two guys?
They're both from excellent programs. They're both very disciplined, mature people. Man, they're blessed. They're big. You know, they're not usually guys that big are fat big. These guys aren't fat big. These are big, big.
Yeah.
But Josh Myers is absolutely killing it in the weight room right now. He's going to be in the mix. Wyatt Davis, I went out watching him practice. Obviously, he's a great story how we got him. Wonderful high school program, one of the best programs in America. I don't want to say he's ready-made because that's not fair for him, but that's how much respect we have for Bosco football program.
When you look at this group, I mean, this is the sixth team you've signed since I've been covering you here at Ohio State. This group, you seem very excited about this group in particular. Where do you see immediate help coming from this
Defensive
group?
backfield.
Defensive backfield.
Yeah, I see those guys. We targeted. Very rarely do you target and you get. And Kerry Combs and Greg Schiano and us, we target those guys from day one. And we got the 3 primary guys. You know, Kendall Sheffield's another guy that doesn't get much. But you talk about a guy he's competed already at the high level. You're talking about elite track times, 13.42 in the 110s, which, well, that's damn near world class. Comes from a really good family, real clean guy. I went down to Blinn Junior College and spent time there, and he's very professional about his approach. So I would say that area is probably the most likely to. I think linebacker too. I think Werner and Baron Browning are 2 that we targeted early on. One was committed to another program, but we just kept hanging in there, because Luke Fickell loved him, and so did I. We loved him. And then the tide started to change a little bit. We got him, and Baron Browning was, you heard the story. I mean, that was a free-for-all to get him.
Last thing, will you ever have a year like this again in the state of Texas, do you think? I mean,
I hope.
you talk on that a lot. I know. I mean, because when you talk to guys down there, they're saying, well, now like I was talking with Tate Martell, I know you've always considered you guys to be a national name, but this class seems to cement that when you look at Chase Young from Maryland and Wyatt Davis from California.
Trayvon Grimes.
And Trayvon Grimes from Florida. I mean, all corners of the, almost of the, do you feel like more than ever this is a national program? I mean, in that respect, that you can knock on any door.
Yeah, I think our success kind of has helped that. You know, there's you know, Zeke Elliott and the NFL draft. There's a variety of things that kids look for. I think our Real Life Wednesday program that we do for people, that's caught in the eye of many people. First of all, Ohio State's a national brand and will always be and always has been. But I think the success we've had recently and the exposure that this program's had for the right reasons has really been, you know, beneficial. And the one area too that they see that these kids not only leave this program and go to the NFL, they start. You know, we have Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Year. You know, we have Mike Thomas goes in and he's dominant Pro Bowl, I think, and I just, you know, I lose track of them. I'm watching Pro Bowl. You know, a Buckeye carries the ball, a Buckeye's blocking for him, and a Buckeye tackles him. You know, it's a lot of good stuff out
You
there.
don't push that big time though when you talk to these guys.
You think?
Or do you? Oh, you ever been to Kent, Texas?
I was before a week ago. No, not sure I'm going to go back either. No. Great people, and I was only there for an hour. But the high school coach, and I'm just kidding, I'd be glad to go back. You have another one of those, we'll go back.
I know this is just a continuation of my first question, but I do want to say this though. I was talking with his coach.
Is this conversation or are you asking a question?
Yeah, but everybody thinks y'all just got on him 4 days ago, a week ago, and he said actually Ohio State people were in touch with me a month and a half, 2 months ago. Is that a compliment to Pantone and his staff with the thoroughness?
Yeah, they're ridiculous. You know, that staff has gone from a one person that runs the recruiting to we have a massive staff now. And also Zach Schwartz and Sammy Silverman and our boy Kenton. I heard he was on the picture of him. And where's Austin? I think you did it, right? You must be bored, if that's what you're doing stories on. I love him, though. He's great. So our staff, you know, I think I'd like to think we have the best staff in America, and if not, we're going to have the best staff in that area. And Gene Smith's been very understanding and making sure that we are swinging with both hands.
Folks, I'm going to have to wrap it up here shortly. Marla, go ahead.
With 15 guys leaving early for the NFL draft in the last 2 classes, does that put more pressure to find guys who can play immediately, or does it change anything about?
I don't want to say it's awful, but it's tough. I mean, it's you just the minute you think. Imagine what that team would have looked like last year with those 9 guys back. You know, and but that's the way it is. And you know, I guess we are now of the mindset that will happen. Prepare for it to happen. Recruit guys are, you know, ready-made as much as you can, but also there's a lot of pressure on Coach Mick and them to get them ready. We start spring practice in a month. Get them ready, because they're all going to be playing. And I say that every year, and you know, people say, well, you redshirt some guys. I don't want to redshirt anyone. I hope we do not. This is I really deep down, I feel that this is going to be an exceptional class with a bunch of them playing, because they're showing it right now.
Rob?
You've got Greg, Kevin, and Bill on your staff, close friends, right? Have you always been comfortable? I thought you used to be uncomfortable really hiring buddies, for lack of a better term. What has changed about that? Is it just a comfort level, or where are you?
Well, a lot of my peoples are gone. You know, they're head coaches and they moved on their belt, and I'm very uncomfortable hiring people I don't know. I, on purpose, tried to stay away from that, to answer your question. Greg was probably the first one, you know, that was really close. I wouldn't put Kevin in that category. We are friends, but nothing like compared to Billy and Greg. So, yeah, I've tried to stay away from them, but they're the best guys out there, and I have a job, and that's hire the best guys I can for this university, and they fit that bill.
Why did you stay away from it again?
I don't know, just advice I've taken over the years, and I really didn't have to go there because I had plenty of other guys to choose from, but the guys that I kind of had that pool, the pool's kind of dried up. So out searching.
I'm sorry, folks, this has got to be the last set of questions here. Doug, go ahead.
Urban, on the offensive coaching changes, it seems like the way things went down, or what transpired there?
No, they wanted to pursue other opportunities. It was good conversation. It was amicable, and there was no one fired. There was no one that you had to leave. There was going to be some changes made. I wasn't quite sure what they were. But to say that all took place before the Clemson game, that's not correct. There was some conversation before the Clemson game, but our focus was do the very best, go win that game, and then afterwards let's have conversation. That's what happened. But there was no dismissal or anything like that. Guys just pursued other opportunities and moved on.
I mean, Ed goes from play caller, co-coordinator at Ohio State to not a coordinator at Minnesota. That's not a sideways move. That's a move down.
Well, I don't look at it that way. And once again, that's up. I don't want to speak for Ed. That'd be something that maybe you can visit with him about. But I know one thing, that he did a hell of a job here at Ohio State.
And with all the things you've said over the years about, obviously, this is the Ohio State offense, no matter who the coordinator is. You obviously had great success the last 2 years. But if this offense maybe wasn't quite what you wanted it to be, it's still your offense, and you're still an offensive expert. Was there anything you could have or should have done to maybe get more of a handle on it if it turned out that you guys didn't throw it this year as well as you wanted it to?
That's what these next 2 months are all about. For me to answer that, I've been in, what's it called, Kemp, Texas? I've been in Kemp, Texas. I haven't been doing this, but that's all going to take place. I did, starting 3 days ago, I started a complete statistic evaluation about, I didn't realize that we rushed for more yards than any other school in the country the last 5 years. And I'm getting all these things we did well, and then the same thing, what we didn't do well. And what you're finding out, productivity in the passing game has really hurt us. And we need to be more productive. Now, what does that mean? I hear the term receivers must separate. Exactly. Quarterbacks must be more accurate. Exactly. And the offensive line must do. We gave up 25 sacks this year. That's not acceptable. So those are all things that we're going to really focus in on.
Just the way you coach and everything you have to do, can you be more hands-on at all with the offense, or do you have to just have the coordinators and position coaches in there that
No, I
can do the
can't be
job?
more. Those are great questions. Those are, I want to be the head coach. I want to run special teams. I want to be the game manager and the motivator. I'm very involved in the offense, but I try to hire the best possible guys I can to coordinate, because coordinating the offense isn't calling a play. That's the misunderstanding. The coordinating the offense is the practice, the motivation, inspiration of the staff in that room right there. Those are all titles of the coordinator, not so-called that who called the reverse. No, that really has no bearing on the coordinator. Does that make sense? And that's right. I think on the defense side of the ball, we really struggled 4 years ago, right, or whenever that was, and fire this guy, get rid of this guy, do this, do this. We made it work, and it wasn't necessarily the defense called. It was the whole package that performed the last 3 years at a very, very high level. Obviously great players, but I loved what was done in that room.
Coach, thank you.
Thanks, guys.